Police say they faced an exceptional level of abuse this weekend as hundreds were arrested supporting Palestine action in the heart of the capital. The group was proscribed in July by the then Home Secretary Yvette Cooper, who later wrote that the public were not fully aware of the reach and violent tactics of the organisation. A social media video shows a police officer this weekend shoving an elderly protester to the ground. The force said they'd faced coordinated attacks, including verbal abuse, spitting, kicking and objects thrown. Dr. Juliette Brown is from the group Defend Our Juries, who organised the demonstrations against the ban on Palestine action.
I was there with about 15 health workers supporting this campaign, which is obviously to overturn the ridiculous proscription of Palestine Action as a terror group. I saw thousands of people, very ordinary people, lots of whom had never been to a protest before, sitting with signs willing to risk arrest under terror laws to have the ban overturned, but also because of the strength of feeling that there is, I think, amongst the public about Israel's genocide of the Palestinian people in Gaza, and what people are seeing as the complicity of our government in that genocide.
And on that specific concern, the rights to protest are clear. You can protest against the war. You can call it a genocide in public. It's obviously contested by Israel, but you can do that. That's legal. But why not just protest against the war and have your placard calling it whatever you want? That's allowed. It's when you go after Palestine action, supporting them in public, you are committing an offence.
You know, we've seen marches for the last 2 years, and the scenes coming out of Gaza are just horrific, and people are not just going to carry on marching while the government is completely failing in its obligations under international law.
Parliament voted to prescribe this Palestine action as a terrorist organisation. That happened. The Home Secretary at the time, Yvette Cooper, wrote that the public were not fully aware of its tactics behind the scenes. So you're actually protesting against a law that was passed in Parliament, and your rights to protest against the war remain.
Well, Palestine Action are the first ever peaceful direct action group to be tarnished in this way. We also have a right to protest against laws that we disagree with, and I think it's an opportunity now with a new Home Secretary to have a proper look at that assessment and whether that was the correct thing to do to proscribe this group.
Live to Sue Sim, who was Chief Constable of Northumbria Police. She represented chief police officers around the country on the subject of public order. Sue Sim, welcome.
Good morning, Paddy.
Do you feel there's an escalating problem for police about the Palestine action ban?
There certainly is an escalating problem because the whole issue is that Palestine action has been prescribed under the Terrorism Act. It is an offence to actively support, and that means wearing T-shirts, carrying placards, chanting slogans, supporting Palestine action. That offence carries 14 years imprisonment. The police have to follow the law of the land. The law of the land is that group has been proscribed, and people who are supporting it are being arrested. What it appears to be at the moment is that active supporters of the group have decided that they are going to overwhelm the criminal justice system by ensuring that at the moment nearly 1,000 people are going before the courts.
Yes, but just breaking it down a bit, one of the people who was there has written to us to say that many people there were simply peaceful and the police put them in long queues and they couldn't get processed. So can we say that the police are being overstretched by policing this law?
I think you can say that the police are being overstretched, and I think that is a tactic that is being used at the moment, and people should really consider whether they want to actively support a group that has been defined by Parliament to be a terrorism group.
And to Dr. Juliette's point, who was saying people feel two things. One, they want to protest against the actions of the Israeli government in Gaza, which she calls genocide. She wants to hold up that placard. And also she wants the law changed on Palestine action. What would your advice be to a listener who felt both those things?
If you want to protest against what is happening in Palestine peacefully, you are entitled to do so. You are not entitled to support Palestine action. What people could do, there is a way to de-prescribe any organisation, and that has happened before. People need to write to the Home Office to explain their rationale as to why they believe that Palestine action shouldn't be a prescribed organisation.
And finally,
consider that.
Do you think that might happen with your experience? Do you think this is a vulnerable law?
I think that if people believe passionately that Palestine action shouldn't be prescribed, that's what they should do rather than being arrested.
Okay.
I also believe that it may be time. The Home Secretary has said that the British public do not understand the full extent of Palestine action.
Okay.
Perhaps there should be more information provided to the public for them to make their own decisions.
Thank you, Sue Sim, for joining us live. Former Chief Constable of Northumbria, spoke for Chief Police Officers on the subject of public order, and we heard as well from Dr. Juliette Brown, and a listener wrote to us as well, who was also there. It's 9:38.